we have a problem with being real. Everybody say that they like to keep it real and they like to keep it 100. And man, that's not true, man, because those uncomfortable conversations, man, people don't want to have them. And then the elephant ain't going nowhere. You keep walking around it and the rooms are getting smaller. And so you can't act like the elephant ain't there. People don't always have opportunity to touch and have those real conversations and that real dialogue. And so, you know, I got to bring it to you, and I got to bring it to you on the level that you understand. Because I think sometimes too, we get too wordy, too deep into academia that, man, hey, I'm struggling and I'm going through it. I ain't trying to hear nothing about your pedagogy, and I ain't trying to hear nothing about that. Bro, I just went and spoke at IUPUI school yesterday. 18 urban, they have an urban teaching program. And it always hurts me when I go see these, even when I go into our urban schools, that 75 to 80, sometimes 90% of the teachers don't look like the people that are in the community that they're teaching in. And so it was 18 students. It was one Hispanic, no African Americans. The majority of them were white and white females. And I'm like, and while I applaud them because I had great dialogue with these kids, all of those students had a why on why they wanted to teach. There's something that happened to them personally, that they were either affected by a teacher or something that happened to them in their young lives that they was like, you know what? I want to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And so, but it always pains me when I go in, and I've been doing it for the last couple of years, going and speak to this class, and it always pains me when I go in and I see that the majority of the people who are in an urban teaching program are not urban. While some of those white students grew up in some low-income backgrounds, you said it when we were talking, man, it's a lot more easier as a student when I can look and I see somebody that look like me. Not saying that the whole school has to have all black teachers, but man, when I can walk down the hallway and I can see African-American people, and it's not the janitor and it's not the cafeteria lady.
Yeah.
I mean, or it's not the lockout lady. It's somebody that, no, that's a social studies teacher. That's the math teacher. That's the principal. That's my guidance counselor. I think that that's so important. But then the professor, he's a friend of mine from South Bend, and we went to lunch and we were talking, and the question was, well, how do we make education appealing so we can make our African-American students, and we got to start in high school and we got to start in elementary school and middle school. How do we create experiences in those environments that will make them say, you know what, I want to be a teacher just like you, Mr. Gammons. And I think that's what we got to get to because, man, when I was in JAG, I would ask the kids, I'm like, man, they like, I want to do this and I was like, well, how many of you got a class right now that you got a teacher that don't understand you? The kids will raise their hand. You know you can do something about that would be my next statement to them. You know you can do something about that? And they like, how? Instead of you going and wanting to be a producer, I'm not knocking that. Do that on your own time, do that. But we talking about change and impact. You just told me how that teacher made you feel. They didn't understand you, and so you didn't perform as well as you could have in school because you and your teacher didn't have a connection. You can do that. Well, you want to be a producer. How about you be the music teacher and you go back to your school and you be the music teacher? You know what I mean? And so I challenge them in that way, but they're already seniors now. They already got their ideals. The world has shaped them. Their lived experience has shaped them. So they heard what I said. It was kind of like one ear and went out the other. And so we need to start early, and we need to start championing, and we need to start talking about educators, man, way better than we do. The pay, of course, needs to increase because that's a lot of what kids, why would I want to go do that? They don't get paid nothing. You know what I mean? And when you think about the importance of the job that teachers have.
We got to take it more seriously.
Come on, man. Like, something got to change.
How are we paying the people in charge of the next generation of life, of the world? No, don't even call it success. the next generation, period, how are we getting paid peanuts?
Yeah.
And then you got folks that don't do nothing. You know, you leave work when you want, you show up when you want, make 100,000 doing it. You know, you just got to show up and talk to somebody. But the folks teaching the next generation have 2 and 3 jobs to make something.
And you think about it, and it's so twisted because the pay is here, but the expectation
through the roof.
Oh my God! And what teachers have to go through and what's required of them. They can't get done what they need to get done in the time that they're at school. So all of them are taking their work home. Most of them have families. And so it's like, are you serious? I don't get paid in the summertime unless I take, I minimize what my pay is through the school year so that I can still get some money coming in. You know what I mean? Like, I know, because I have friends that are teachers, and I would like sit as I became an adult, and I would have conversations with teachers like, bruh, or sis, how you do that? Like, man, that's crazy. But they're so passionate about what they're doing because they understand the cost, and they understand, you know, the importance of what they're doing, man. And so we have to legislatively.
We got to rethink that.
We got to, man.
We got to rethink that. Because then it's a trickle down. Because then we wonder why we don't have enough teachers in the classroom.
Yeah. And why the turnover is so great.
Why? Yeah.
You know, because I came in on fire and I'm like, yeah, this ain't what I thought it was gonna be. Like I got the potential that I could get beat up. Somebody could bring a gun. Like there's so many things. True. You know what I mean? And so that's going through everybody's thought process as they say, well, do I want to go work over here?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be a teacher? Well, I don't have to worry about a lot of those things if I go over here. And so, you know, we just got to be real and have those open and honest discussions about, man, what's really important. We can't say that our children are our future and then we don't invest in our educators.
These are the conversations that have to be had. And that's the point. That's why this podcast exists. You know, it's hard to articulate it. It's hard for me to just say it. But these are the conversations. These are the uncomfortable conversations. You know, some folks don't want to hear them. Some folks don't want to think about it, or you don't have the time to sit there and talk about it. You know, so these are the conversations that have to be had in education and have not been. It's just been blatantly disregarded in a lot of ways. Because there's no way with all of the changes that we have in this world, technology-wise, lifestyle-wise, all these changes we have, how does education continue to stay the same?
Yeah.
You know, and we know about systems of systematic oppression and whatnot, but this is, the whole system is flawed. In a big way. You know, we got to do something to change that.
Absolutely. And it takes people to be unafraid to have those conversations. Are you going to ruffle some feathers? Of course, but okay, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like when people talk about protesting. It's like, okay, we done protested for years.
Yeah.
Time for some action now. And so we've talked about this issue for a long time. Now it's time to put some things in place for some action. And so, man, I'm excited about where things are going or could potentially be going because of people like yourself and other educators who are young and who are on fire and who are passionate about what they're doing. And so, you know, but we got to get them all together and get them in the same room, and let's bounce ideas off each other. Let's get the whiteboard. Let's talk about this, that, and the other. And then we need to take it to those systems or take them to those, the school boards. We need to take it to the school boards and have those, you know, man, we need to have real talk today. You know what I mean? We got to stop dancing around this issue. We need to have some real talk because our kids are suffering from it, because we also know that relationships matter, and so there's attachment that happens with the student and the educator. And so I get attached to Mr. Gammons, and then because Mr. Gammons gets frustrated because he feels undervalued, and then he leaves. And he leaves, and then that student who was thriving in this classroom with this teacher is now like, you know what? I let my guard down. I let him in, and then he left. We don't know what that creates for and how hard it's going to be for the next teacher. And so we got to think about all of these things that could potentially happen. And we don't, we just kind of like, okay, we just gonna get another teacher in here, and you as a student, you need to do what you're supposed to do because you're the student and I'm the teacher. And that's not how that works, man.
I'm working on getting the book published now. I got the transcript done and ready. It's called Every Decision Counts, 8 Lessons I Wish They Taught Me in School. And so I took some podcast episodes from my earlier days and from when it first started, and I basically turned those into parables for middle high school students. And so it goes through some of my stories and some, Robert Torres from South Bend. Flipped his life all the way around. I talked to a dude that was homeless for a while and on drugs and ended up starting an insurance company out of a crack motel. So different lessons like that I'm trying to put out there for the kids. And I wish they taught me this in school. And the lessons are real simple. Failing got me started. Make new mistakes. Surround yourself with only quality people. Release the expectations of the world. Hold nothing back. Just real simple practice that students can use. So I'm gonna keep you posted on that too, man. I'm really excited about it.
You know what, bro? I gave you your props early on about how you inspired me when I met you as a young man. You're still a young man, but even a younger man. And just your passion to do what you're doing. Like you seen yourself doing this when we met in I think it might have been 2014, 15. And so to see you, man, flourishing in this, man, is phenomenal. But with the book thing, man, I've been dancing and playing, man, with this book, man. And so one other notch in your belt is I'm glad you did it. Because now that only gives me the drive, man, to get mine out the way, man, because get it done, man, because people need to hear what we got to say.
Yeah.